Hey everyone, welcome to my comic book thoughts video. I'm going to do it countdown style again. I'm thinking of, I don't know, when I get tired of doing the countdown style, I'm thinking of like picking my top 3 or 4 favorite comics from each week and just giving the thoughts on those. We'll see. Sometimes I like to just mention everything for my own personal record. But today I've got 11 comics that I'm going to roughly rank from 11 to number 1, just in terms of how much I personally enjoyed them this week. They're comics I bought last Wednesday. Today is Tuesday, so as I record this, so tomorrow I'll be getting another stack of comics. I actually finished these a while ago and meant to make a video, and then I became lethargic and distracted. And it wasn't till I saw a new video pop up from David Lee. Sorry, I drew a blank there for a second. I saw a new video pop up from David Lee about his comic life, and I just enjoyed it and thought, hey, how come I didn't make my video this week? So, and then I didn't actually get any free comics on Free Comic Book Day, but I went to a Free Comic Book Day sale and bought a huge stack of old comics. I think mostly from the 70s, maybe a few from the 60s. And so I will, right after shooting this, I think I'll shoot another video where I just show those comics for people who are interested in that kind of thing. So, without further ado, is that like who first started saying without further ado? It seems like everybody says that now. I don't remember saying that 10 years ago. But anyway, without further ado, or with further ado, because I'm going to sip my tea first, I put Green Lantern number 7 as my least exciting comic book this past week at number 11. And it's purely because of the writing, because the art was fantastic and very inventive and evocative. But the writing, well, you can see that font that you can't really see very well? That's most of the story was told through that font. And I guess it was supposed to be like ye old storybook writing or something, but Grant Morrison just did not pull it off. There was something about it that it was hard to read that font, and then when I struggled to read it, it wasn't really that worth reading. But the basic idea was really clever, that we were inside the ring, and I didn't fully understand everything, but things are symbolized inside the ring, including the artificial intelligence in the ring that works with the ring bearer, along with other aspects of the ring, I guess. So, but nobody in the story knew that till the end. I'm just going to randomly read here. But he does stop, there in the plaza of dried fountains, drained wishing wells, where he pauses and is very still. It's as if, in the radial plan of emerald sands and its curved courtyards, he recognizes another order, a new significance. You told me it got darker and darker. You said it was glowing green once, alive, he reminds her. Now it's as if it's running down, losing energy, as if... So anyway, I just didn't like the writing style, and I wish they had done something else with this great conceit about the world inside the ring. I felt kind of like Grant Morrison was just hoping that a bunch of cool images by Liam Sharp would be enough, and that he didn't really have to come up with much. So anyway, I do have to say that I did enjoy this at some level. There's no comic this week that I hated and wished I hadn't bought. And I certainly plan to keep getting the Green Lantern unless every issue were like this. Black Hammer 45 kind of had the opposite problem for me. I liked the writing, I liked the story, I liked the characters. Really could not bear the art. And, you know, some of you are going to say, oh, I like Matt Kindt art, and it's an acquired taste. Well, I've acquired the Matt Kindt art taste in the past. I've liked his other comics, the ones he did for himself, and he drew, like Mind Management and such, that art seemed great to me. Somehow here, it just seems really weak and ineffective. Maybe it's the wrong story, or maybe he's putting less effort into it. I did really like the writing and the idea, and the elements of race were handled in interesting ways, and the power games that the white hero plays and leaves things up to the black heroes, and the sense of the families caught in the middle between the Germans and the Russians and the Americans, who are considered the family of a valuable scientist. That was played really well too. So would have been much higher on my list if it had art that I liked. So that was number 10. Number 9 was Young Justice. In a way, maybe this deserves to be at number... my gut feeling was it came in third from the bottom. But it was kind of fun to read, but it was scattered all over, and it vaguely seems that there's people with different memories in different universes, and he's, I guess, Brian Michael Bendis is playing with kind of the rebirth thing where people have some of their memories erased. I don't know. It just feels like the plot line, because this is issue 5 and I've been reading from issue 1, is just getting more and more scattered and all over the place. And I'm having less and less confidence that it's really going to go anywhere. So I don't know if I'm going to pick up any more issues. It's not apparently on my pull list, so I just grabbed this off the shelf. I guess I've been grabbing it off the shelf all along. The art wasn't bad. It's by like 3 different artists, but it worked out okay. At one point, someone points out, hey, this is kind of like Apocalypse in Gemworld. And I felt irritated all along that Brian Michael Bendis is doing Gemworld as if it's Apocalypse, rather than the specific charms of Gemworld that I would like to get. So, it was an okay comic. It's the kind of thing I might keep picking up off the shelf if I feel like I need more to read. More promising, actually, but I'm still I don't think I'm going to get the Year of the Villain comics. I got the 25-center. I actually got this for 50% off, so I guess I got it for 12.5 cents at that, sale that I was at the Free Comic Book Day sale. So I didn't even see it at my shop, but at the shop I went for the Free Comic Book sale, it was too cheap to pass up, and I was kind of curious what this event is about, and now I kind of know that it's about some grand scheme of some evil entity that's going to change the whole universe so that evil rules, and Lex Luthor is deeply involved in that. So I guess, I haven't been reading the current Justice League where Lex Luthor shows up as evil, but not too long ago, Lex Luthor was trying to be good, so now he's gone completely the opposite way again. I'm a bit curious about that. So I might eventually, read these in trades from the library or something. It seems like it's going to be a fun, big event, but nothing in it convinced me that it was anything for me as a really long-time superhero reader, anything that grabs me, that strikes my fancy. So I particularly liked the Jim Chung art at the beginning. So anyway, and the other interesting thing is it gives a list of all the upcoming issues that are involved. So I'm trying to figure out whether I should be temporarily dropping Hawkman and Supergirl and Justice League Dark. Those are the ones here that I currently read that are going to be part of the event, or is it just going to be one of those things where it'll just say Year of the Villain on the cover but won't really affect the story, the ongoing story? Because particularly with Justice League Dark, I wouldn't want to miss anything because I've really been enjoying that. So Year of the Villain was number 8. Number 7 was Deceased. And it's kind of the same thing. This seems like if you wanted a comic book where the DC universe gets devoured by zombies or zombified in some way people, this looks pretty good. It looks like it's the conceit of it that it's the anti-life equation of Darkseid's that got altered slightly and is now out of Darkseid's control and spreading rapidly through various sources, including digital, people's cell phones and stuff. That's pretty good. I have to say, right at the spoiler here. Right at the end. So when you see me put down deceased again, if you're worried about spoilers of this first issue, you can zoom ahead there. But right at the end, Batman appears to be defeated by, I think, is it Zombie Tim Drake and Zombie Nightwing? They seem to defeat him very easily, or turn him very easily, even though he saw them coming. It's not like they surprised him or something. So there was a sense that he was sacrificing himself to give Alfred time to get away. Now, whether in the next issue it'll turn out that Batman already had an antidote or something. Anyway, that just struck me as a bit odd that Batman was taken out so easily. But, if you haven't, if this appeals to you, it's probably going to be a good version of watch the DC universe be taken apart by zombies. Similarly, Savage Avengers looks really promising. For just sort of a fun, pulpy, silly thing. I, of course, was very cynical about the idea of them bringing together Conan. By the way, I think this cover is horrible. It doesn't tell a story. It doesn't tell you anything. And in fact, there are characters on the cover that never appear inside this particular issue. It's just like a poster advertising the eventual group that will become the Savage Avengers. So anyway, I really enjoyed the art, Jerry Duggan's writing. Jerry Duggan is very good at this kind of pulpy stuff. And it does, maybe because of Conan being involved and the Savage Land, it does evoke the sense of pulp novels and that kind of thing as much as it does superheroes. The one thing that puzzled me is it is Brother Voodoo really going to be a character in this comic? I think he got killed off in this issue. I guess not. I mean, no one dies for good anyway, or does Brother Voodoo have some ability to not die, even when he gets his throat slit? So anyway, that's a minor thing. I don't think it's a major spoiler. This was a $5 comic, and it is thicker, but I think they could have told the same story in a 20-page comic and charged us less. Anyway, I don't know if I'll continue following Savage Avengers. I liked it, but I would probably more likely just wait for it to arrive on the digital platform. I'm not dying. It's enjoyable, but also forgettable. So it'll be another one that I'll just pick up off the rack if I feel like it. I was sad that Self-Made, which was getting better and better with each issue, ended. And you could feel them trying to wrap it up in this issue and give it a sense of closure. Although not complete closure, they're leaving it open for more stories. The art and the color are better than ever. The story is a little pat and the ending comes a little too easily. But still, it's kind of satisfying, and I'm glad they did wrap everything up and tie it up with a neat bow. So if they do more Self-Made, if it sells well in trades or whatever, and they bring out another miniseries, I'll definitely be there. So that was Self-Made was number 5. In at number 4 was Beasts of Burden. This is an odd cover when I think about it. There's like this white hole there. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. This kind of thing here is like the picture's in dripping blood, but why is there a white hole there? Anyway, Beast of Burden's back. I think this is just a 2-issue. It doesn't say on the cover, but I feel like I read somewhere that this is just going to be 2 issues. And it's the return of the original artist on Beast of Burden, Jill Thompson. And at first, because the first Beast of Burdens I ever read was drawn by Benjamin Dewey, at first I missed Benjamin Dewey's style. Benjamin Dewey is one of my favorite artists, but and in both of these artists do their own coloring, so even that had a different tone to it. But this issue grew on me, and it's turned into because I don't want to give too much away, turned into a very effective and disturbing horror story. And I'm not sure where it's going to go with issue 2 at all. But if you like horror combined with kind of that Watershed Down talking animals kind of thing, this is a really great book and a very effective horror book. So I really enjoyed that. Put it at number 4. And it was kind of dicey. Maybe it should have been at number 3, but I put Red Sonja at number 3. Red Sonja, this issue unfairly gets a boost from the previous 3 issues because I think it may be the weakest of the 4 issues that Mark Russell, the writer of Flintstones and Snagglepuss, the weakest or the least. The issue with the least amount of plot drive to it and character drive of all the issues that he's done so far of the other 3, but still a strong continuation of the story. The story is still going along. It definitely makes war feel a bit not super protracted, but it definitely there's this stage and that stage and all these different moves about war. It's a different way of writing about war and battle than you normally see in a comic book. And I really appreciate that. And I still find the artwork very strong by, his name's not on the cover. And I don't think his name is here. I'm not sure where the art credits are, maybe in the back. Here we go. So Mirko Kolak, the main artist, is really good. I do not like the Bob Q interludes. Let's see if I can find it. They just don't strike the same tone. I don't like the art style or the coloring on those sections. But that was a small section, and it was okay. But yeah, so overall, this is still good. Incredible cover. I hope that Russell's going to be on this for a while. I've now added it to my pull list, and I saw that in 2 months, I saw in previews some kind of one-shot special is coming from Russell also, so I asked my shop to order that for me. In at number 2, and it was hard for me to choose between number 1 and number 2. This could have been number 1, was Paper Girls. And ironic, since I ranked Red Sonja pretty high based on it being part of it, the whole story. Kind of with Paper Girls, I'm not ranking it number 1 because we're getting so close to the end of this very complicated story. It's hard to see now how the issues completely fit in until we see what the whole story is going to wind up being. But I loved the storytelling technique they used here with four horizontal panels throughout, and each panel, the top panel's following one character, the middle another. So throughout the issue, we're following all these characters just in these on these levels, and they never let go. It's kind of like a Neapolitan ice cream, I suppose, to evoke the Ice Cream Man comic, but because each one has its own set of shades and everything. But I found that a very effective, kind of mesmerizing way of telling it. In fact, I would go back and I would just read the bottom strip after I read the whole thing in the normal order, and then I went back and kind of would read whole character strips, just the one thing at a time. So it was a very cool comic, to fully understand Paper Girls, I'm going to have to go back and read the whole thing. I'm absolutely positive now, because there's so many different things planted throughout the story that come back in different ways, and different characters coming back at different times in their lives and stuff. I'm just not smart enough to hold all that in my head over a period of 3 years, I think it's been. So I chose to make Gogor or Gogor my number one pick for this past week. It's a new Image comic from Ken Gehring, who's known for Planetoid. He created, wrote, drew, colored, and lettered the comic. So he did everything but actually print it on the paper himself. And he seems to be using, I think it's intended to be like a young adult comic or a middle reader comic, in fact. And he uses a simpler style than I remember him using on Planetoid. But his simple style really, really grew on me, and it was really effective. And it seems spot on throughout the comic. There were no mistakes. It communicated really well. And I love the vision of the world he's created. And I thought each character had interesting quirks and qualities to them that came out very quickly, that he was able to establish very nicely. The only thing, we only on the very last page have the appearance of Gogor, the savior monster of this world. And it's hard for me to imagine how he's going to be interesting with all these other interesting characters. I hope we don't lose our focus like this character here was really cool. I hope we don't lose our focus in all of those. And I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but I kind of want a bit of an extended adventure with all these characters. So this is for people who, despite being adults like me, can enjoy a kind of middle reader kind of fantasy story. I don't know if it'll develop more sophisticated or become more intense as it goes along, and then I might call it young adult or all ages. It is all ages, but I mean covering the spectrum. But yeah, I was surprised. I just picked